What are you if you're a describer of the new, a flaneur? This is the French word meaning stroller that Baudelaire employed to describe a new modern sensibility that went with the new modern city. The flaneur goes around regarding modern life, keeping his distance, not getting involved. He's a voyeur as well as a flaneur. He's a sampler of experience at one remove. He's always smiling ironically above it all. Great, thinks our own contemporary trendy art world. That's exactly what we are. Really, how does irony work? In conversation, it's a mark of intelligence. It means being able to think of more than one thing at a time. For Manet, it's thinking about pictures and the stuff that pictures are made of. He can do both. This is Manet's portrait of the realist novelist Émile Zola. But it's also a painting about yellow and black. It's a fantastic visual object. This kind of thing influences our moment, but in a perverse way. The genius of our Turner Prize art is the way it pinpoints and vivifies our modern desire not for visually marvellous objects, but for ironic ideas that hover disembodied nearby to visually straightforward objects. It's 1862. Manet is 30. He's a dude and a dandy and a flaneur. Every day he strolls down to the Boulevard des Italiens and lunches at the Café Tortoni. And then in the afternoons he comes down to the gardens of the Tuileries Palace. The palace used to be over there. We're back now 10 years before it gets burned down by rioting communards. And he does a lot of drawings. The gardens are full of the great and the good of the Paris world of the arts in the early 1860s. Poets, art critics, art writers, authors, heads of art galleries. Imagine them all milling here. Then he gets back to the Tortoni at 5 or 6 and receives compliments for the drawings as they pass from hand to hand. People like Baudelaire who encourage him. Back in the studio, based on the drawings, Manet puts together his first painting of modern life. It's called Music in the Tuileries Gardens. Here's the fleeting glance of the strolling dandy in the blur of the Tuileries. Modern entertainment goes on here, outdoor concerts for the posh near the Emperor's Palace. On the extreme left is Manet, and then it's a monocled art writer. This weird shape is Baudelaire, a modern blur. He's persuading these other writers that art's sole purpose now is the creation of aesthetic experience. Courbet hates hearing stuff like that, but Manet agrees with it. He says, yes, aesthetic creation, but base it on what you see all around you. To that extent, he agrees with Courbet, but here's the departure, because then it's even more aesthetic. It's even more visually unpredictable and lively. The painter's superiority over the objects of his gaze. That's Manet's painterly version of dandyism. How does the painting work visually? A green spread against a spread of pinky orange. Black clothes of the men in a jumble through the orange. The line of black hats and the unreal-seeming tree trunks cutting through the jumble. Then the accents of bright colour, blue, red, and the greys, whites, and creams and peaches. It was shown at a private gallery in Paris in March 1863. No one liked it. Couldn't he finish anything? Couldn't he draw? Manet strides through art history like a colossus, but at the time he was just thought to be pretentious. He became an art shocker at a one-off art event called the Salon of the Refused. It's an official show of artists rejected by the Salon. Here are all their pathetic, thrown-out canvases. Why show with a lot of rejects? In Manet's case, people thought it was to be deliberately scandalous. This is what a scandal looked like in 1863.
The future Impressionists saw this, they recognised its power. It became an icon, it stood for change. Why, though, when it looks like hardly anything to us now? A few unlikely poses, some arty nudity. We have to unpack its shock value in terms of what it was different to at the time. Salon art's polished illusions, its careful stagings of nudity. What does the salon audience want from art? It gets dressed up and it goes to see something morally elevated, not something disgusting. It doesn't want to see Tracy Emin's bed. It wants to see sexuality carefully contextualized in terms of what is known and accepted at the time. Goddesses and damsels in distress. White slaves, maybe, kidnapped by exotic Arab slave traders and made to live in harems.
Instead, Manet does unmistakable modern sexuality. The painting is now known as the Déjeuner sur l'herbe, the picnic. The pose recalls classical goddesses in art by old masters like Titian, but the social activity it connects to is prostitution. Prostitutes were available for hire at a lot of locations all along the banks of the River Seine. Prostitution was naturally connected in anyone's mind with bathing in the Seine. Here is a woman bathing, and in fact the painting's original title, when it was first shown, was The Bath. You don't mention prostitution, you cover it up with prudery, but Manet's exposing it and connecting it to art.
Manet is seen by his audience as a great assaulter of the old masters, but it's really only the dullness of the pseudo-old mastery of the salon that he's assaulting. Actual old master art he thinks is great. Titian is its god. He's competing with Titian on Titian's own painterly terms. The glow of the still life, the glow of the body, and the whole arrangement of those high colours within the greys and greens and blacks. He's moderning Titian up.
Manet gets the overall setup, clothed men and nude women, from a painting by Titian. He gets the precise poses of the main figures from a Renaissance engraving after a painting by Raphael. Those people in the corner become Manet's people. In the Titian, there's no eye contact with the audience. Quite right, the audience feels.
But with Manet, she's looking directly out at you, perfectly relaxed and cocky. And that's the attitude of the whole painting. Very wrong. But something worse was coming. The response to this painting, when it was shown in the salon 2 years after the Déjeuner sur l'herbe, was so furious, guards had to be posted to stop it being physically attacked.
Its title is Olympia. Olympia is the kind of name high-class Parisian prostitutes sometimes took, so there's no doubting what the scene is. A prostitute receives a caller. But it's also a painting that looks at itself being a painting. Upfront modern sex is tied to a new rough, bold handling. That curtain is as much real brushstrokes as it is fabric. The real flowers here, the flower pattern here. She's not really a prostitute, she's a model acting a part, which is actually what she has in common with the nudes in the old masters. They're not really goddesses either, because goddesses don't exist. Manet's model is Victorine Mirand. She's his collaborator. She acts different types in an amazingly relaxed way. They're thought to have been lovers. He met her in the street. She was 17. He asked her to come by for modelling work. She agreed because she'd heard of him. She appears throughout Manet's paintings of the 1860s.
Manet is assumed to be a sexy guy, always picking up women from high-class brothels and cafes, where an extraordinarily complicated system of prostitutes and courtesans and kept women was available. His wife once surprised him, following a woman in the street. "Oh, I'm sorry," he said. "I thought it was you."
Manet did paint several portraits of his wife, but Victorine is his main model. She's got the look that initially draws the audience in. But then Manet refuses to draw it in any further with any intelligible meanings or with any surface polish. The audience is pushed away by the rough scrawling, the deliberate disconnections. It seems to be all fragments. In fact, it's a unity of colour relationships. Who the personalities are, what the scenes are, isn't the point. The point is colours relating to other colours. Looking at his stuff on TV now, it's hard to think of it as unclear. It looks like art. But for his audience, it didn't look like art, and that's why they didn't like it.